Well, hello, and happy Saturday to everyone. Again, I hope you're having a great Saturday and a great weekend so far. My name is Don Terrell, and I want to welcome you to another great episode of The Color of Motion, where I like to say stories come in all shades. Super excited to have everyone joining. You know the drill. Make sure you say hello, say where you're tuning in from, so I can give you a shout out while I make sure that I am broadcasting, of course, on my channels. Like I said, I hope everybody is having a great weekend. I'm super excited for the show. And this episode, been waiting for a while, and I know you're going to enjoy today's guest for sure. Let me make sure. We got a comment. Mr. Clancy is always in the building. Gotta show you here. There you go. Mr. Clancy, always in the building. I appreciate you, little brother. Always tuning in and supporting the show. Let's see, you tune in from LinkedIn. So obviously, LinkedIn is working well. Mr. Brian Little from What's Up? Appreciate you tuning in, Mr. Brian, my fellow blockhead. And I'm not insulting him. It's just a Peanuts thing, you know. He's a Peanuts fan, and I'm a Peanuts fan, and that's his brand, the blockhead. So, I'm not calling him a blockhead just for the sake of calling him that. So, just so you know. But appreciate you tuning in there for sure. Miss Salve, we were just talking about you, Salve. So appreciate you tuning in from YouTube. And I got one from each channel. So obviously they're all working well. So I won't even bother to make sure that it's working. All right. Please, again, if you're just tuning in, I appreciate you supporting each and every Saturday afternoon. The show comes on and we highlight people of color and diverse backgrounds in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. This space that I always like to say that I love so much, and have enjoyed bringing it to you. Let's see. Oh, it's true. He's right. Your favorite blockhead. Yes, our favorite blockhead. So that's Mr. Brian Little. Again, we are live each and every Saturday, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Of course, you're at 3 p.m. So, live on my Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube channel. I want to give a big shout out to everybody that's been supporting the show. It's been going really great. I have been kind of telling people the last couple of shows that, the new, I like to call it a studio, but the new kind of iteration of the show is going to be coming out within the next few weeks. So I'm super excited to unveil that to everybody. New intro, new graphics, new system, just all new. So I've been working feverishly all week, and I'm super pumped to show everybody the new and improved show. New guests. It's been going great. Like I said, we are booked out until August, September. So, like I said, I got a lot of great shows lined up for sure. So it looks like we are working well. Yeah, Mr. Oziel. I think this is the first time you've been, I've seen you on the show, Oziel. Subscribe to my YouTube channel right now. Hey, I want to get past 200 subs. I'm going for 500. That's my next milestone. You guys have taken me up to my first milestone, and like I said, I appreciate everything that everybody's been doing. But my next big milestone is 500 subs. I'm going to blow past 200 subs for sure. Whoops, that's the wrong thing. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, DonTerrell.com. I plan on putting a lot of great content on there for sure. Along with the show, you'll be able to see some tutorials. I got my little brother Michael coming back on to do a ZBrush little tutorial there in session. So he's going to get us kicked off in a big way. So just super excited that everybody's been supporting the channel, helping it to grow. It really it's been encouraging me. And like I said, super pumped to unveil the new studio to everybody. Let's see, Mr. Michael here. We got to get you to 100,000 subs. Yeah, hey, I'll take 100,000 baby steps though for me, man. But speak it into existence. 100,000 subscribers. Speak it into existence. I like that. So Mr. Oziel says, let's go. Let's go. So please make sure that you share it with everybody that you feel would benefit from it. Like I said, it's going to be a great creative place and space for not just animators, but motion graphic artists, visual effects. It's going to have everything on there. Like I said, just everything that I love. So I appreciate that. Mr. Oziel gives Mr. Brian a little shout out there. All right, we are about ready to get kicked off here. So let me, without any further ado, introduce my very special guest and friend. Hold on, let me close this here. Special guest and friend. That's why I'm super excited about the new studio. It's going to be so much easier handling these graphics and handling things. So that's why I'm pumped. All right. Ready to get it kicked off. She is a 22-year-old woman born and raised in Manhattan, Kansas. I didn't know there was a Manhattan in Kansas. Wow. Learn something new every day. Manhattan, Kansas. Her parents immigrated here from Uganda, and she has one older brother. She is currently a senior at the Savannah College of Art and Design, SCAD, pursuing her BFA in animation and working on completing her senior short film. She graduates this June and is very excited for that sweet freedom. I know how that feels when you're getting close to graduation. Even though she is studying animation, her primary love is storyboarding with a secondary interest in character design. She's always loved cartoons, and her favorite cartoon is Avatar: Last Airbender. She's inspired by things like anime, manga, films, and video games. She recently is taken to Dungeons and Dragons. I can honestly say I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, which has been a blast. Outside of animation and similar media, she is also heavily inspired by music, musical theater, and collecting, albeit playing poorly, musical instruments. She's always enjoyed drawing, but didn't really take it seriously until she was in high school. She remembers having a sort of epiphany when seeing story artists post their work on social media. She realized that real people actually made the cartoons that she adored. And if they could, she could too. This realization made animation attainable, and nearly instantly she realized that working in animation was what she wanted to do. She didn't realize that she wanted to be a story artist until halfway through college. Seeing story art was the thing that inspired her to pursue animation, but she didn't think it was something she could excel at. A YouTuber friend of hers asked if she wanted to work on a passion project of hers, and she had assumed that she meant doing some visual development work, but she instead asked if she would be comfortable helping with boards. She's seen some animatics and I'm going to show some of her animatics. She had seen some of her animatics she had posted on YouTube for fun a few months prior. She was certain what she was doing. She wasn't certain what she was doing, but figured if she could be of any help, why not do so? Working on this project was another life-altering moment when she realized how much she absolutely adored this part of the animation process. Since that project, she's done other freelance YouTube story work. In February of 2020, she applied for Pixar's storyboarding internship. In March, she got the news that she had been accepted. Her internship officially started in August and ended in November, and was hands down the coolest few months of her life. In June, if the world doesn't explode, and I don't think it will, or something, she'll be back at Pixar as a story resident after she graduates. Her professional art journey is really only just beginning, but she's looking forward to the future. Everybody, please help me welcome my very special guest, Miss Vanessa Guvele.
Hello. My goodness, that was quite the hyping origin story you told. Thank you so much.
We gotta hype up our guests. I tell you, appreciate you so much, Vanessa, coming on the show. Like I said, I've been super, super excited and just waiting for this. I hope everything is going well with you. I know you're excited. It's almost, like you said, 5 weeks till graduation time, so it's down to the wire there for sure. So let's get it kicked off. Tell us a little bit more of what you were like as a child.
What I was like,
not like too young, but like, in your early age, early ages. What kind? I mean, were you always kind of doing art and creative, as you were getting older, growing up?
I always liked doodling. I think, like a lot of other people in art school, I was probably like the kid that everybody was like, "Oh yeah, Vanessa can draw pretty okay by 7-year-old standards." I've always loved cartoons and anime. I watched them often with my older brother, and I was always really excitable, possibly maybe a little bit too excitable sometimes, about cartoons and running around and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. But I didn't actually, again, take drawing particularly too seriously until I was in around high school.
That's you guys. So obviously, your parents were really encouraging of your talent. Once you kind of hit high school, or were they, really, did they see the talent in you and figured this was kind of something that you can get into once you made that decision that, art is something I want to do?
I would probably describe my parents as being very typical, strict immigrant parents. But it wasn't that they ever dissuaded me from doing art. It was more so that if I was going to pursue art, then they expected that you would have to be good. You would have to make sure that you succeed if this is really what you want to do. So it wasn't necessarily the typical barrier of this isn't the job you should be going after, or this is not as accredited, or as what we expect of you to do. They didn't ever tell me to go be a doctor or anything, but they were very much so if you're gonna do this, you have to do it right, and you have to be successful.
Put your all into it, I guess, is the thing. So were you, is your brother kind of artistically inclined, or were you kind of the only maybe creative person in the family? Or
my brother does not draw. He is an engineer. He's very smart, but we both were into music growing up. Our parents signed us up for violin lessons when we were in preschool, and throughout all of our childhood. So he plays the violin much better than I do. So he's creative in a different sort of way.
Actually. So did you have, because I know for me, like going through school, albeit I kind of always knew what I wanted to do, but going through school, I had great counselors that really helped encourage me, along with my family. Did you have teachers or counselors there that, really did help kind of push you in that direction that you wanted to go?
In terms of specifically 2D art and drawing, I wouldn't say so. I don't think that was really much of a presence growing up in my Kansas town. But I did, I guess, receive that sort of push and support to, again, do what I wanted to do from, again, my parents. My orchestra teacher in high school, even though, of course, that's not really animation or anything, he was really great at fostering sort of like this mentality of pursuing your goals and really diving into them. So I had support networks, even if they weren't necessarily typical ones. If that makes sense.
Gotcha. So obviously from Kansas, you're from Kansas, but what made you choose SCAD? I mean, what was it about SCAD that was your choice?
So I don't know if any other animation students have like gone into Google and been like, what are the best animation schools for? Because they have like no one to ask in their immediate vicinity or whatever. So you're sort of just like, I don't know what schools teach animation. And I learned that like really none in Kansas did. So I was like, okay. I saw Cal Arts, of course, obviously at the very like top of that list for the United States. And I knew at the time, I knew that I would not get into Cal Arts if I had applied to it, which isn't, I didn't feel bad about that. I just knew at the moment. And so I was sort of like going on the list about what other places recommending, and I saw SCAD, and I was like, let me try to schedule a tour. So I like drove across the country to Atlanta from Kansas to tour, and when I got there, I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. This is great.
Oh, I think you probably could have got into SCAD, or not SCAD, but Cal. It's interesting. I mean, I hate saying it, but I did get it wasn't a full scholarship, but I did get a small scholarship from Cal Arts. But I didn't take it. So
Me too.
What do you feel like? Well, to the point now, because you are seeing a lot. There are a lot of great online schools cropping up now.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts now with the advent of online schools such as Animation Mentor or Gnomon or all these other schools that are, like I said, really prolific now online?
I think it's great. I think that anything that increases accessibility to resources and information to people who otherwise may not have been able to pack up and move to go to art university or afford it, or like it's just like too much, or like the time frames are just not right. Like spreading like education is, I think, always good. And I think that those types of programs are effective from sort of like the handful of people that I know that have done Animation Mentor, or I've done those sorts of things. I think it's great. I don't know if I would say that like if I was 18 again, like brought back to 18, if I would have not chosen to go to, if I would have chosen differently.
Yeah.
But I think that the ulterior, path is totally valid, completely so. I know that there are a lot of opportunities, right? Like there's a lot of, I don't know, some internships require you to go to like a university or et cetera, whatever. And I also am, of course, definitely in love with my peers and my professors and stuff like that. And I had a very, I think, positive so far school environment, but I'm really only even more so happy to know that there are just more options popping up for everybody else.
Yeah. And I always like to say that, and it's different for every person, because some people do want that kind of on campus, going to school experience. But I do feel like I said, that I don't want to say I think the teaching is a little more, it seems more specialized to me, because pretty much all the ones that I've checked out and seen have been started by animators currently working at studios already, and teaching, whether it be Noman or Animation Mentor. So it seems like you get a much more, plus, of course, the cost is a lot more affordable for a lot more people. And like you said, you don't necessarily have to come over to the States. You could be over in another country and take it as well. You obviously have kind of a little love and kind of background in music. What kind of instruments do you like to collect?
I have 3 violins. My violins are my first instrument that I learned when I was like 4. I have my bass guitar, ukulele, keyboard, melodica, ocarina, mandolin.
Wow.
Goodness. Of those, I would say only the violin is one that I would say I'm good at. I'm saying that even loosely. I'm a bit out of practice now.
So how do you feel that helps you, just your love of music and musical theater? How do you think that plays into your storyboarding and your passion for animation?
Well, there are a lot of different ways. Firstly, I think that having a passion, obviously outside of art, is just healthy. I feel like that's kind of when I'm stressed and tired from like animating like all day. I'm like, I'm gonna play my bass even if I suck, and I'm gonna feel good about it. I also think that like music is, of course, obviously a very emotive thing that I think is relatable and connective to people regardless of upbringing or even language sometimes, even if like, there's not lyrics, that can be really evocative. And I think sort of like utilizing that aspect in your artwork, like, are you boarding to a song? Are you like letting the way that this particular piece makes you feel influence how you're like drawing the specific thing? I think that can be really cool and neat. And I also would say that in general, I again got sort of like my start in storyboarding by making like musical animatics just for fun in my free time, and that was just something that I liked and was passionate about, and it was fun, and it ended up enriching my artistic life.
Naturally. You love, like I said, manga and anime. What is it about, Avatar, The Last Airbender, that makes it your favorite one?
The perfect show. The perfect show ever. I felt that way when I was 6 when it came out, and I felt that way again after I rewatched it now that it's on Netflix. I love the storytelling, the pacing, the world building. I love the character cast. I love how big big it is, and how much I care about every single one. It's just a feat of storytelling and world building that does not fail ever to get me excited. I absolutely just adore it, and I will never be tired of watching it. And I can only really hope that I get the chance to help make something that makes other people feel that way too.
Awesome. I'm gonna throw a few things up there. Miss Elizabeth, she's another anime manga guest from last week. Favorite Avatar. What's your favorite? I'm gonna throw that in there. What's your favorite Avatar character?
Polarizing. I'm about to say something very polarizing. Azula is my favorite Avatar character. Second is Toph Beifong. I love Azula. I feel for her so much, man. I wish in a world where there exists like an Avatar season 4 where I can dream about like my Azula redemption arc possibly. But I adore her. Great villain, great character.
Okay, you heard it right here, Elizabeth. You heard it right here. Um, Obviously, you have a passion for anime and manga, but you did work at Pixar. Are there what? I mean, is there a specific style you like or you would enjoy working on? I know some people that I've talked to, their thing is children's animation, and they love that type of storytelling, children's style animation. And I always like to say that, you know, my range of what I like in animation goes from the silly, you know, Disney, Looney Tunes, Pixar to some serious, you know, manga and anime, Akira and all the other ones. Is there anything that you kind of tend to like better or would prefer to kind of eventually get off into?
I would similarly say that I like a very large amount of things. Like I love really cute cartoony shows like Craig of the Creek, and I love, of course, you know, you said Akira. I love Dragon Ball Z, and of course I love obviously Pixar films. I think that I have a personal, like if I was just like chilling on my own, and if I were to make a sequence, it would probably end up being like a drama sequence that would like aim to make an audience cry or something. That's a little bit more stylistically semi-real, you know, pushing towards that kind of like Disney-ish vibe, you know, right? Yeah. But I would never say no. I would, if someone was like, hey, come work on my goofy cartoon show for babies, I'd be like, yeah, let's do that.
Oh man. Well, obviously there's been a lot of stuff coming out, a lot of great animation coming out. What are some of the ones that you've seen recently that, you know, you've kind of, you know, that's really kind of hit you and you really kind of liked and, you know, said, hey, you know, I mean, obviously working at Pixar, Soul has come out since then. But there's a lot of great, Netflix is cranking out a lot of great animation. A lot of studios are cranking out a lot of great animation. What are some of the recent ones that you've seen that, you know, you kind of really like?
Yeah, some recent favorites. I saw Arlo, the Alligator Boy, Titmouse's Netflix film, like over the weekend. It was really fun. I saw Wolfwalkers finally. Yeah,
I've heard
that was great.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of great things. I haven't seen it, but I've heard a lot of great things about it.
Wolfwalkers is great. I totally recommend it. I saw Raya. I saw Raya twice actually. That was really cool. And in terms of like shows, I just watched the Dota. I guess it's not an anime. I don't really know what to call it because it's like it kind of looks Studio Mer, the people who did Korra, they made the Dota animated show for Netflix, based on the video game, which I didn't play, but I liked the series and I'm excited for season 2. And goodness, no. Sorry, I'm trying to like run my brain and remember what I saw in the last like couple.
Actually, I had him on as a guest a few weeks ago. Scott Christian Sava, his animated film is on Netflix, Animal Crackers. That's a great one. You should check it out. But yeah, and recently saw Raya and the Last Dragon. Obviously, I love that one. That was a good one. But there are so many great ones coming out. What's your and I'm getting ready to show just a quick little storyboard, some of her storyboard work on here. But what's kind of your approach when you start a storyboard? I mean, how do you approach a project when, hey, I want you to do some storyboards for me?
Well, if it's for usually there'll be some sort of starting material, right? If it's for somebody else, maybe they'll have an outline or like a script or a song, you know. Usually what I do is I read that script or outline or listen to the song just like on loop for a good couple hours and just really sort of like get into it and let my sort of like brain kind of like wander about like what I think would be cool or like what these sorts of things mean or how I feel about this part, or if there's any sort of like maybe this part in the song feels like it's a really tense emotional bit. I'll just kind of take all that in, and then after that I'll sort of start to like puke a bunch of really awful thumbnails and roughs on just a piece of paper or like a file and just get all of my really yucky ideas out. And then I'll kind of like look at what I have made, my mess of drawings, and I'll start to kind of like build them into a more cohesive sort of product. And I'll do a pass over that, roughs, maybe touch with my director, like, hey, what is this? How do you feel about this? Get notes. If it's for me, then I'll sort of like go to sleep, look at it, wait, and then I'll just keep on sort of like hacking at it until I get to the less gross, nicer, hopefully finished story piece.
I get it. I'm getting ready to put on here, throw up here, one of her animatics and storyboards that you can check out. Really great storytelling, and I always think it's interesting. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm not sure if it mutes my audio, but I hope everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it muted my audio. I know that if I play a video or something, it mutes my audio. But always enjoy the process of, the initial putting character design and then the animatics and putting that story together. Your time at Pixar, what do you feel like the biggest lesson that you kind of pulled from working at a studio like that?
Oh man.
I mean, I know there's a lot. I mean, you're coming in there with so many great animators and such great content into a very well-established place. But was there any one thing that kind of somebody said to you or animator gave you or something that when you, after your time was done, you walked away and it's like, wow, that was a great piece of advice, that you can carry on, in further.
This might sound kind of like weird or simple, but I just always remembered it. I was listening to someone give a speech and they were saying about how when you start something, always have an intention. And it's by that, like always knowing what it is that you want to say, to convey, and to feel, and making sure that that is sort of like the core, of your approach. And I feel like trusting yourself, trusting that sort of like deep, like the deep intention, the saying, whatever, the core of like what you mean, like trusting that that is what you want, and that is going to be like sort of like your guiding light in whatever project it is that you are making, even if it's something small like a single scene. It doesn't have to necessarily be like a grandiose like movie scale sort of project. Even like a single drawing, like sort of knowing and trusting yourself to know that, and taking the time to really sort of think about it before you begin something can really sort of make the process in general feel, one, smoother, and two, of course, more effective, in my opinion. And that was great advice I got.
Awesome. And now, what are your kind of overarching views of we're starting to see a lot more women come up in the industry, a lot more people of color start to come up. And I've actually, which kind of Salve had mentioned before, there was a lot of females in her class. coming through SCAD. Are you starting? I mean, did that surprise you when you went to SCAD, or did you kind of already know that there were a lot of women that were in the industry, doing this?
Well, first, what I have to say about that is finally, that's how I feel. I'm like, finally, thank you, goodness. I didn't notice how many other women were here until I took a class of like 30 individuals, and somebody in the back of the class was like, hey, you guys notice that there's only like one dude in here? And I was like, what? And I like looked around the room and I like saw like the one dude, and I was like, oh, whoa, I didn't even realize that was a thing. I wasn't even processing it because it felt so normal and natural in that environment, which was great. I would argue that there is no shortage. There's no shortage of women and of course people of color who are interested in art. They just sort of course, we need to let them in and give them jobs. If there's a misconception that like, oh, girls don't like video games or cartoons or whatever, that's not true. We do. We do very, very much, and there's so many of us.
Yeah. Now as you were going through school, like you said before, there wasn't a lot in Kansas. Do you feel like in your school in particular, and that being a kind of an overriding problem in kind of early grade school, junior high, that there isn't those type of classes to really encourage and kind of foster that? Because I know with me, like I said, in high school, they had, of course, a commercial art, a vocational commercial art class, which I took. And, they really didn't have or kind of foster that in kind of the grade school level, other than, you just did art or anything like that. Do you think that's what's missing in a lot of schools now, just this early introduction?
I think so too, yes. Because again, I was like 15 before I even realized that like you can work in animation as like a job. If I knew that when I was like, I don't know, 6, if someone was like, yeah, you can be an animator, I'd be like, oh, no way, it's so amazing, wow. Of course, obviously, it's like places, if you don't have a lot of computers or you don't have enough, your school district doesn't have enough money to afford like a subscription to the software plan, then, you're not, or hire a teacher who is proficient in, XYZ subjects, then that's sort of like information and those passions I cannot be fostered, which is tragic. So finding ways, I think, to introduce art and art as a valid career choice for individuals, for kids, for children, when they're still young, I think is really important.
Yeah. Now, is that something that you would hope to do in the future? Kind of, go back and speak maybe to like high school? I mean, I know as you're just now getting into the industry and starting, which I still say, even where you're at, you have a point of view and a something to share. I feel, is very important to, even the ones younger than you. Is that something that you would say, hey, I think that would be really cool to go back and go to a school and really kind of speak to younger kids about it?
I would, yes. I think you just very much so highlighted one of my insecurities where I'm like, I feel like I'm not like qualified to do things sometimes. But you're right. Like imagining me being like 12, I think I would have loved for some animation student to be like, hey, this is what it's like to be an animation student, or like, this is what it's like to intern at some place. You can do it too. So yeah, I would definitely be into that.
Definitely feel like that. So what got you, what was it about Dungeons and Dragons that kind of attracted you? I mean, where did that come from?
This came from, I don't know if you've heard of this family called the McElroys. They're like a collection of brothers and they run a lot of different podcasts on Maximum Fun. Specifically, I was super into their Dungeons and Dragons podcast, where it's like the three middle-aged men, the brothers, and their dad, and they played D&D together. And like, I didn't think it was going to be something cool that I was interested in, but I ended up like the way that they sort of mesh play and storytelling. It was like I was listening to like a movie, but it was also like really funny, and I was so invested to the point where I was like, friends, valued college friends, please let us join me on a D&D adventure, please. And so I managed to we got a bunch of our friends together, and we started playing, and then I started playing with my other friends in Kansas, and it's just been really fun, and it's really nice.
We're gonna put that link in the show links for all you D&D players out there that may want to check it out for sure. Like I said, we're going to take a little moment and throw a few comments on there. Mr. Joe Vincent, I love Avatar. Excellent show. I'll tell you. Mr. Michael welcomes you to the Color and Motion family. I welcome her too there. Mr. Damien, what's going on, man? Wow, it's been a while since I've heard from you. Gotta love Airbender. Excellent examples of all techniques animators love. Great story, plot, character development, and the effects in action scenes are hard to rival. Can't beat that. Like I said, you obviously have a passion and love for 2D, but of course, Pixar does 3D. Is it just doesn't matter what it is, you just love doing it, or is there one that you kind of like more than the other?
Well, from the storyboarding perspective, there are definitely like differences in how you would approach doing boards for a 2D TV show or a 2D movie versus a 3D film. I think that 3D film boards are really freeing. Like, you can kind of get away with doing really sort of whatever you want, because you don't have to be like constricted by sort of like the rules of like, oh, you only have so many layouts you can do. You can't do this camera movement because it would be like murder to try to replicate in a 2D environment. But when it's 3D, it's sort of like, yeah, whatever, go nuts, go nuts, kid. So I like doing boards, I would say, for 3D feature stuff because of the amount of freedom you have. In terms of animating, because, animation student, I like 2D animation significantly more than 3D animation in terms of like executing that. So really, I guess it depends on what job I would be doing on the production. But as a story artist, I kind of like a lot of different things.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've started to see a lot more animations that have kind of merged the two.
Mm-hmm.
And molded the 2D style with 3D elements and animation. So I think a lot more creative stories are starting to come out with that style. And albeit, it really, even simple, it really comes down to the essence of the story and what the story is. Because I've seen a lot of simple 2D drawings that are really elegant and really well made. And I had spoke about this on the last show, or not, was it the last show, or the show before last with Alicia. And I don't know if you've seen Ryan Woodard's animation, Thought of You, and it's just a dance. It's sketch drawing, but it's so beautifully made, and it's just a dance sequence set to this song. But the drawing is just, like I said, simple drawings, but the way he drew it was just such a beautiful way he drew it. So I think it always comes down to that for sure. For everybody that's just jumping in and tuning in, I am sitting down with my friend and guest, Miss Vanessa Guvele, storyboard. I'm going to say story. She's an intern, but she's a storyboard artist. That's what I'm going to say. She is a storyboard artist extraordinaire. That's worked at Pixar and has done some awesome work, which I'm going to throw up here so you can see more of her great character design and storyboard stuff. You do a lot of character, I say you also do a lot of character design as well, which is I always thought is, a hard, well, I guess hard thing for some, but just diving into characters and coming up with characters can be challenging sometimes, for sure. Where do you, like I said, you're just getting into the industry. Where are you, have you thought long term or further out where you would like to eventually maybe be or do?
So the plan is, fingers crossed that nothing horrible happens, that after June I've signed to go back to Pixar as a story resident, which is like a year contract doing storyboard work.
Is that remotely or is that going out? Are they working in studio now, or is that working remotely? To where
studio is still closed because of coronavirus. But the plan is to open it sometime this year, so then I would relocate to go back to California. So if I don't, if I guess the ideal would be that I would not be fired, and I would stay. I would stay at Pixar for a while more.
Well, I'm sure it is a big a really great learning experience for animators and people really getting into the industry to kind of land something like that. Obviously, I mean, what was your reaction when you got the internship initially?
Oh man. So like I remember when I got the email to schedule an interview. I thought that it was a rejection email because I had applied the year before, and I was like, I'm just gonna apply again this year because why not? Whatever. And I got an email. I was like, oh, this must be my rejection email. And I opened it, and it was like, are you free to have a voice interview next week? And I was like, ugh. I was like, goodness, what do you mean? So I scheduled the interview, which was similarly very like, it ended up being more like a conversation, kind of like this. I just sort of talked about what I liked. I ended up talking about D&D for like 15 minutes because my interviewer similarly was into D&D, and I was like, wow, this is so we just sort of talked about that, and then I ended it, and I was like, did that go well? I don't know. And then like 3 days later, they called me back. They're like, you got it, kid. I was like, cool.
Hey, the D&D hook might have did it for you.
That's what did it.
But see, I find that, like I said, it's such a tight knit community, and having those kind of casual friendships and relationships really goes a long way. Do you find it the same way?
I think so too. I think there is sort of this tendency, especially as like a student, when you're sort of still in like the college bubble and you're looking out at everybody else who's already in the industry, a tendency to kind of like think that person is somehow like a shimmery like entity of like greatness or something, just because like they're like a little bit farther along in their journey than you, but really they're just kind of a person. And I learned that, I think, over the last year, that they're just kind of people with interests, and connecting to them on that kind of like personable level is not as horrifying as I would have assumed it was. And it's actually really nice and inviting and good. And I'm like, yeah, great.
Now, like I said, if that's the one thing that I've picked up through this kind of my whole little journey, is that it is a small industry. Everybody knows everybody, and everybody is, friends with everybody, and they're big thing is having a good personality. And if you have a good personality, it goes a long way in all your future endeavors and where you move around to, for sure. Mr. Michael, I want to throw your comment up here. Nice work. 2D animation is a challenge. I stick to three. I think 3D. I don't know.
It's so hard. Oh my goodness.
I think 3D is. I don't know. I think 3D is harder than 2D, but that's just me. And especially what you do, Michael, with sculpting and modeling with ZBrush. I'm not even going to get into it. For sure. Like I said, she does some awesome work. What's the if you were gonna give somebody advice or somebody younger kind of thinking about it, what would be the bit of advice that you would give them?
I would say probably like it's okay to take the time to appreciate where you are. And I'm saying that in terms artistically speaking, and I'm saying that because sometimes I get into a headspace where I feel like I have to constantly be improving and I have to constantly be sort of like looking forward into sort of like the deep future where I am like great and wonderful and achieving all of my goals. And sometimes that I notice results in me not being able to sort of like stop and recognize the thing that I just now made that I'm working on now is cool, is also cool. You know, that you should be able to sort of like stop your forever train that you're running on, right? And be able to just sort of like breathe and recognize the work that you've done now and up until this point is worth, you know, acclaim, and you should be able to just sort of like chill out and be proud of that. And I think that's healthy for a lot of people and myself, telling this to myself now also.
Well, it's interesting that you said that, because I think even the people, like you were saying, you know, from your point of perspective, is so much further ahead of you. They still have those thoughts of sometimes their work isn't good, or sometimes they're not sure what they're doing. Because I had this conversation with Scott Christian Sava talking about the animated film he was doing for Netflix, and he was like, I was asking him, because you was wearing so many hats. I was like, did you feel like, you were doing? He said, I felt like I didn't know what I was doing, but I surrounded myself around people that, I trusted and just, trusted them. So even those ones that you think would be just confident in what they're doing, have those thoughts that, this, I'm not really sure what I'm doing, or this isn't the best piece that I've ever done, or anything like that. It's amazing how we kind of put ourselves in those headspace of thinking that somebody is, just so much better, or our work isn't up to par what we think it should be. So like you said, appreciating what you do at that moment, and growing from there, I think is always the best part. We are going to jump into a few more questions, but before we do, we're going to take a quick commercial break and see from our sponsors. And we are back with my guest and friend, Miss Vanessa Guvele, storyboard artist extraordinaire. if you could kind of go back in time and stand in front of your younger self, what would you tell your younger self? I mean,
Um,
you're a little ways ahead. You're getting ready to graduate and get into the industry as a professional. But what would you tell, say, like the grade school person, even the one before you started, you're figuring this out in high school, the one before that, what would you tell yourself then?
mm, mm, mm. Don't listen to your. I was gonna say don't listen to your parents. I was meant to say like watch more movies because I should have led with the watch more movies. Yeah, don't listen to your parents who tell you like to like not watch a lot of TV. Don't no, they don't know anything. Watch more films, watch more shows.
Because you never know where it may take you or where it may lead. For sure. I'll attest to that. Yeah, I'll attest to that. So I think a lot of kids now though do grow up on TV and watching TV. For sure. Well, this is like I said, been uh, a great interview. I've, like I said, enjoyed kind of diving into your little story and your journey moving forward. I'm sure her senior film is going to be coming out soon, which I hope to really highlight and promote once she completes that. But I'm looking forward to hearing about all the success that you're going to be doing at Pixar. Super, super excited for you, for sure. Uh, Please make sure, and all of these links are going to be in the show notes on our YouTube channel. So make sure you go over there to connect with her. Check out her YouTube channel where you can see more of her storyboard work, more of her character designs, and a lot more of her work for sure. You can also check out her website and see more of her work. Her Instagram, she is on Instagram channel. See more of her work and connect with her there. She's on LinkedIn. That's where I connected with her at LinkedIn. So make sure you connect with her there. But like I said, Vanessa, I'm super excited that you're starting out on this exciting journey. And I can't imagine where it's going to take you. And I know that you're going to do some great things there for sure.
Goodness, thank you so much. That's really nice of you to say. My goodness.
No, it's been fun. I hope everybody has enjoyed the episode. Please, again, make sure if you are connected with me or if you are on YouTube, on LinkedIn or Facebook, make sure, like I said, you jump over to my YouTube channel, check out this episode, check out all the other great episodes. Make sure you subscribe, hit a thumbs up. Better yet, comment, because that definitely helps the channel. If you comment or give a like, it definitely helps the video and the channel. And like I said, super, super excited that everybody's been kind of resonating with the show for sure. Vanessa, if you could just for a moment hang on back in the green room while I close out so I can thank you properly, I would appreciate that. Everybody, again, make sure you connect with Vanessa. Check out more of her work. Again, all the links will be in the show notes. But make sure you do connect with her. Everybody, give her a great round of applause. And thank you so much for being a part of the Color and Motion family now, like Michael says, and two, for being on the show.
Of course. Thanks for having me. It's been an absolute blast. A pleasure to see and talk to all of you.
All right. All right. Again, hang out real quick and while I close out the show. Thank you, Vanessa. Guys, what can I say? This has been another great show for sure. I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed watching it, as much as I've enjoyed doing it. I always have a great time sitting down with, I like to tell them, not guests, but my friends. And so, like I said, I'm just super pumped seeing what Vanessa's going to do in the future, and I know she's going to bring even more great talent to Pixar as well. Again, can't say this enough, but I appreciate everybody joining me each and every week. Like I said, we are here every Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Connect with me on my YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook page. I want to hear from you too. If you have any ideas, any guests that you may want, you can always hit me up at don.terrell or at dggraphics.com, or like I say, connect with me at Don Terrell on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Like I said, I'm just super excited to bring you the new and improved show in the upcoming weeks. Next week's show, make sure you tune in for next week's show. Is going to be another great episode. Welcoming on my good friend Mr. Laugh Taylor, character designer and illustrator with Laugh Space. He's been doing I've been checking out his character, Big Head Charles, I think it is, on LinkedIn very well. But you can see his work. He does some excellent character design and illustration. So I'm looking forward to sitting down and talking with my friend there. Well, this has been, like I said, another blast, and the shows are rolling by so quick. I can't. It's hard to keep up. And like I said, we are already booked out until August, September. So it's rolling. The show's rolling along for sure, and I'm having a blast with everybody. Again, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure that you connect with me. Make sure that you tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And with that, make sure you have a great weekend. Connect with somebody. Make friends with somebody. Doesn't cost to be nice. And with that, I will say have a great rest of the weekend.